cutting edge, controversial, provocative, and introspective. Grab your cup of coffee and join me for Coffee Chronicles with R. Wayne Woodson. Good morning, everyone. It is early. It is Inauguration Day, a big day for our country as we transition power. I am excited this morning, very excited about all that will be happening today, even with some hiccups. It's just sad, for instance, that the current president will not be at the inauguration and is actually having an event at the same time. But I don't think that is surprising any of us. But I'm excited to see Biden and Harris take office. And I'm excited that there is a bipartisan group that will be accompanying President Biden to church this morning. So that says a lot, that there is the possibility for some healing and some growth in our country. So I'm also just shocked, with the lockdown of DC, in addition to the pandemic, and that it's just so empty. And I'm just used to seeing so many people. But, it is what it is, and we have to make adjustments as we go through. That's where we are this time in the country. Good morning, Darren. So I have a few things on my mind today other than politics. I am, excited, concerned, a little worried about some things that are going on. And, this is the time where I get to not air my grievances, but, share my thoughts on a variety of topics that I wouldn't normally get to talk about on my regular shows. And so I have a list over here, so you might be seeing me look down this morning just so I can make sure I stay on topic. But one thing that I would like to discuss is just staying active. We saw all of these people involved in the political process, voting, getting out to get people to vote. Very excited about this election because it was a presidential election. But I want to keep encouraging all of us to remain active even beyond this. There are other votes that are important that are not presidential. And in addition to that, holding the people accountable, just because we put people in office does not mean that we do not have to continue that work to keep them accountable. That's some of the challenge that we have seen at the federal level in this presidency, just accountability. And the people who are supposed to be providing those checks and balances doing their jobs. And our jobs as the American people is to keep our political leaders accountable. So I just want to keep that in the forefront. Get active in your local community, school boards or your city council, or attending meetings. Just so that we can continue to try to move past this period. We know that there are still dissenters, rioters, and people with significantly ulterior motives to what should be happening. And so we just want to make sure that we stay active. So that's all I have on the politics this morning. I will be watching the inauguration. I have my CNN on, so I want to be on top of it all day. But I wanted to spend some time today just talking about entrepreneurship and those people who are entrepreneurs and the difficulties of that. First, I put a post up on my Facebook this week just saying that we need to support, those people we know who are entrepreneurs, those people we know who have small businesses, especially in this climate. I have, a small business, of course, and it was interesting that when that first stimulus money came out and the second stimulus money, my company and several other people I know did not get any of those resources. However, a lot of those resources went straight to those large companies. I think now, they're classifying small business under 500 people. Well, some of us have 4 or 5 people, and we did not really get any of those resources. So it's important that we support each other. We keep hearing all these people talking about buy black or all of those things, but then we're really not following through. It's been saddened to me that I have seen so many restaurants and shops and things close that I've been used to, and not just here, but in Detroit and other cities that I've lived in because of this pandemic. And it is really hitting people hard. And when you are a small business, that is the livelihood for your family. And so I just want to encourage everyone to really support those businesses. Now, the caveat is that the products need to be quality. Now, we don't just want to be out there supporting people because they're our friends and they're putting out a poor quality. And that is something that, I hate to say that I have seen, or poor customer service. And then, sometimes we just give people a pass because they identify with us in some way or they're related to us or something. But we really need to have the same high standards, the same quality products, but we do need to support people. I know in this economy, that is critical. We're still supporting, most of us, we're still supporting our churches, even though we are not attending those buildings right now. But we need to do the same with these other businesses. I know a lot of people who are realtors. I'm glad that I have seen so many sales happening lately, which says perhaps the market's improving. But we want to make sure we support those people. The other thing that I would like to talk about this morning is a little closer to home. We are coming up on Black History Month. And most of you know that I am the great-grandnephew of Carter G. Woodson. And so Black History Month for me is a time where I'm very active, where, I'm consulted a lot. My family's active. And I think it's important this year, especially, that we do more to celebrate. Now, I have discussed with some people that the way we celebrate Black History Month now is not the way it was originally intended. I have what I call the BH12 campaign, which is to realign Black history with the original intent of Carter G. Woodson. And that was that we would study our history all year, and then at that time it was Black History Week. So during February, we would celebrate all that we had learned throughout the year. Now, instead of doing that, what we do is just ignore it all year and then celebrate it only in February. We teach it in February. We learn about it in February. And that's a problem. I hear people saying all the time, I'm Black all year long. Well, that is true. And we should be celebrating our history. We don't just look at American history in 1 month a year, like July. And so I think it's critical that we really do some reassessment of how we study Black history and studying it in an integral part to American history. There are contributions and components that should just really align with the regular history of this country. And so I think if we really looked at that, that would be one way to solve that. I think most people know I have some issues with the way that our educational system is structured in this country. The fact that we are still using a model that is archaic. I don't know how we are expecting students to return to the former learning model when we get out of this pandemic. They've been at home studying on their own. They have really switched to a virtual or a hybrid method. And although that's challenging for some, it is going to be very difficult to return students across the board from pre-K, all the way through collegiate level, back to lectures. And just sitting in a classroom and listening to somebody talk to them when they have now over a year and potentially longer been in a different model. So that is another way that, we can even look at Black history. We should be discussing this in our homes with our kids. We should be discussing this in our churches. We should be discussing this amongst ourselves as opposed to just switching and everything just comes out in February. It's always interesting to me that we get to February and then, one of my friends says that everybody's blackity black. But then the rest of the year, I don't hear anything. I get a lot of requests to speak in February for Black History Month when we could be doing those same speeches all year. Some things happened this week that kind of disturbed me. I think most people know that I'm also a religious leader. And I have been really concerned this week with a lot of these posts. And then I heard a couple of songs saying, it could have been worse. Or, this is better than what it could have been. And so I just want to, spend some time this morning kind of addressing my thoughts on that. I don't believe that it is a healthy method of helping someone cope by reminding them of all the other things that could be happening to them. I don't think that is a healthy model. I know that in my difficult and challenging times, I would not have wanted anyone to remind me of all the other things that could be going wrong. And I don't think that that is providing people with tools that are healthy, with tools that can be useful, the tools that will help them through that process, and tools that they can use later. We don't just have one period in our lives that's challenging. We have multiple, hills and valleys, difficulties. Right now, we have people who've lost their jobs. We've had people who have lost family members, multiple family members. And people's lives are really turned upside down. What we don't want to do is take this time to remind them of everything bad that is happening, or that could happen, or what can develop further from this situation in an attempt to make them feel better. I believe, and I always have believed, in making sure that people have the skills and components and tools to live their best lives at all times. And so this morning's little coffee chronicle is very short because I want people to spend some time with Cindy, and I want people to spend some time with their families. I want people to really do the work. That is my thing. Darren Davis said, not know that just triggers post-traumatic stress from being reminded of past experiences, situation, posture. That's very true. And I'm glad you said it that way. It would be the equivalent of bringing back a soldier from war who is injured and keep reminding them of that situation or reminding them of what else could have gone wrong. So that's a very valid point. We don't want to trigger any more trauma and stress when people are in difficult situations. And we don't really know what people are going through. Our society, and especially our culture, has taught us to appear that everything is okay all the time, to put on the good face. When you go out, give it your best. But we are very rarely taught at a young age about our mental health. We are very rarely taught how to cope with some of those challenges. I know when I was growing up, I had a loving household. I had family and extended family that were wonderful, but we didn't have conversations about maintaining good mental health. We didn't have conversations about what do we do if something is challenging? How do we cope? How do we cope with those times? I remember when my grandmother died, I was in high school, and I went to the funeral. I sang at the funeral, and right after that, I just got to puke, and I had this whole emotional collapse. And I remember the family told me, "Oh no, pull yourself together. You don't want people to see you like that." And so I just think that we need to do a better job as a community of mental health. Right? We are to do more harm than what was already done. Exactly. We never want to do more harm than what's really going on. And we don't often know what people are really going through. There have been stories, I think we've all seen them, with people who have attempted suicide, with people who've done all kinds of things, who've taken pills, who are battling drug addictions, various things. And your interaction with that person might be what saves them, might be what turns them around, might be what keeps them going. And now just think if we take that time to remind them of all the bad stuff that's happening in their lives. That would not be good. And so we want to focus our efforts on working together as a community to heal. And that is critical as we move through this presidential transition. Just because we shift presidents does not mean that the community is healthy. It probably means the opposite. I have been glad that some of our political figures are saying, before we can heal, we need to really address what's happened. I think that is very good. Now, we'll see if it really happens, because a lot of things people say that sound good don't really happen. But it is critical for all of us, in order to live our best lives, to be healthy and to address the things in our lives that need to change. Most people know me, I don't do New Year's resolutions. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that I need to wait until December 31st and have a list of things that I need to change on January 1st. When I can just be doing that work and changing all year long. If something needs to be adjusted, I adjust it as I go. I don't wait till the end of the year so that I can kind of hit some reset button and then, it's a whole new year and everything's going to be different. Make those changes as you go. If there are toxic people in your life, don't wait until December to begin to sever those relationships. If you're in toxic situations, don't wait until December to begin to make those changes. You need to make those changes as soon as you are aware that there's a problem. That is healthy. I don't believe in having a lot of negative people around me, a lot of toxic people, and I have people around me that push me to be my best self. I have some brothers here in Atlanta that don't mind. Like, there's no filter. No filter at all. But that's good because that keeps me on my P's and Q's. That keeps me pushing forward. That keeps me motivated. I have a motivational network that, when we're having challenges, we shoot a text. We put in our group meet what's going on. Darren Davis says, hey man, that was his sermon. He did a sermon on toxicology. It's very important that you remove negative things from your life. DeAndre Pickett said, correct. We have no. You're the main one. No filter. Oh, and I need to talk to you after I get off of here. But you need those people. You need people in your life who are going to be honest with you, but honest because they care, not because they're just being mean. That's a big difference. To be honest because they care and not just because they're trying to be mean. There is a way that you can help people, that you can push people, that you can motivate people that is not harmful and detrimental to their health. But I am a direct person, and so the people in my lives that provide that support are direct. I always say I don't do shades of gray. And I believe in it's black or white, and that's how I function. And so the people in my life that help me push through are like that. And so those are, my thoughts this morning. My thoughts as I'm sitting here drinking my cup of coffee. We do this on the first and third Wednesdays. I am excited that, we're reaching more people with this show. Mornings are not my best. I'm not really a morning person, but I am doing my best. And there are a couple of things. We want to make sure that we are reminded that these shows are sponsored. So if you're interested in being a sponsor, you can visit my website, rwaynewoodson.com. And this month's shows were sponsored by Java 365, African American Coffee Company. I love the coffee, and anybody who knows me knows I'm a coffee person. I love the coffee. And if you buy using this code, Woodson20, you will get a discount. And after a certain amount, our scholarship fund at Woodson & Associates, the Woodson Fund, will get a donation. So support this company. I buy the coffee. You can go to getjava365.com and put in this code and support that company. I do believe in supporting Black businesses. I do believe in supporting minority businesses. I try my best to support, female businesses. And so I think that's important, that we really support the people who support us. And so make sure you do continue to support that company. Like I said, the coffee's amazing. And so I'm very pleased that they have sponsored. That is all I have this morning. Please watch the inauguration. Even though we can't be there, we really need to stay engaged as we move forward. I am excited. Next month, I have a few launches coming out. My Dean Talk will be returning. And Deaths from the Dean, my podcast, will launch for the second season. I am excited that the ACPA named my podcast one of the top educational podcasts to listen to. Hey, Brandon, good morning. And so that was something that really happened that was good in 2020. look for the good things. I mean, we can list the negative things that happened in 2020 all day, but find the good things. There were some good things that happened. I really pushed out there and did some new endeavors. I'm excited. I have a new publicity company, PR company, Jay McKee and Company, that is helping to rebrand my career and push me forward. And so I'm excited about that. There's some big things happening at Woodson and Associates. And you all will see some announcements coming out soon. So we want to just remember that there are still good things happening. And as we remember that, we want to make sure that we continue to pray for the people who are being and continue to be devastated by this pandemic. Of course, those who have lost lives, who have lost family members, who are in the hospitals, which are now overrun and full with people who are trying to survive this pandemic. And really pray for those people in the hospital. I have been hospitalized numerous times in my adult life. I have always gotten through that process because my loved ones have been able to come and stay with me, have come to support me, have checked on me. Right now, it is very difficult to be hospitalized, especially with a diagnosis where you don't know if you're going to make it and you are there alone, or you are only there with the nurses and the doctors. So keep those people in prayer, and also pray for the people who are being impacted by this pandemic in other ways. Loss of jobs, loss of hours. Unfortunately, people are being evicted in this climate. And so we want to make sure we pray for these people and these families because we want to ensure that they have what they need to make it through this. We will get through this period. I've said, and other people have said, there is no going back to normal. There is a new normal that is being formed. And it is, I think, really showed us some vulnerabilities in some places that need to be improved. And pray for this educational system all the way through because there are changes happening and there are people being impacted and infected. And we want to just make sure that everyone's safe. And as I close, make sure that you wear your mask and physically distance from people and do everything you can to be healthy as we continue to battle this pandemic. Have a great day. Watch the inauguration, and I'll see you on the first Wednesday in February.